So you're thinking of moving to South Florida and got your sights set on the city of Weston, but you're not entirely sure if it would be a good fit for you and your family. Well, today we're going to be talking about some of the pros and cons of moving to and living in the city of Weston. This is going to be updated as we close out 2023 and move into 2024. So stick around, we're going to jump right into today's video. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Rob Zioli, your South Florida real estate agent. If you've been here before or this is your first time, welcome. I put out weekly videos all about moving to and living right here in sunny South Florida. So if that interests you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications, and if you could give me a thumbs up, it definitely helps with the channel. It helps it grow, and I would really appreciate it. If you have any questions about moving to South Florida, if you have a house here locally that you're thinking about selling, I would love to be your real estate resource. All you got to do is reach out. I'd be happy to talk with you and help you. And without any further ado, let's dive into today's video, the updated pros and cons of living in Weston, Florida. Now, the first pro in the city of Weston, it's definitely a really nice looking city. Now, when people think of South Florida, at least me, when I moved here way back in 2005, when you think of, say, Fort Lauderdale, South Florida, right away you think of ocean, beach, sand, sun. So Weston, not so much, I guess, because it's kind of on the other end or the west side of the county, which is really not that far away. It's not that big, maybe 28 miles across, but it's not on the eastern side, the beach side of the county. So you don't really get that sun and sand, but it's really a nice, beautiful looking city. So when Weston was designed, they definitely had aesthetics in mind. So there's a lot of master plan communities. Well, Weston itself is one big giant master plan community. So they definitely had looks and aesthetics in mind when designing the entire city. So if you look at it from an overhead view, you're not going to see many straight roads. You're going to see a lot of winding roads, and if you look at the rest of, say, the greater Fort Lauderdale area or Broward County, you'll see everything is really in a grid. So everything is kind of just straight roads, north, south, east, and west, but Weston has a lot of winding roads, and that was done by design. So a lot of green space, a lot of parks, a lot of landscaping. So the planners did a very good job in making Weston, very aesthetically pleasing for the residents. And I don't know many people that I've helped move here. They might not have liked Weston as far as geographically where it was located, because it might be a little bit, out of the way. It's not centrally located. It's not on the east side by the beach. But it's not like they didn't like what it looked like. And I don't know many people that don't like the way Weston looks, because again, it's a very nice looking city. Now you're going to notice this not only in the neighborhoods, which there's a bunch of different diverse neighborhoods. There's a lot of choices when it comes to condos, townhomes. There's a lot of non-gated communities. There's a lot of gated communities in Weston. All of them are master plan communities, so they're all really nice looking. But you're also going to notice them in the business shopping centers, the business districts. They all have a really nice, aesthetically pleasing look, and that's definitely something that the residents and people like about the city of Weston. Now, the second pro for Weston has to be the school system. Now, one of the resources that the general public uses to find out information about any place really, or community, is called niche.com. There's several of them, niche.com, bestplaces.net. But if you go to niche.com, you'll see that Weston is very highly rated. It is rated the #1 best place to live in all of Broward County, but you can see how highly rated the schools are as well. So Weston has an overall grade of A+ as a suburb of Fort Lauderdale. You can see public schools A. They give the housing a B-, A+, good for families. So if you come to the school section and you look at it, most of the public schools have an A or an A+ rating, and this goes through all of the different levels, whether it be elementary, middle, and high school. They also have very highly rated charter schools and private schools as well. Now, the third pro for Weston has to be the real estate and the housing and the diversity. We mentioned it briefly earlier. So a lot of different choices: condos, townhomes. The single-family home developments is what really makes Weston stand out. So there's so many different choices when it comes to single-family home communities. A lot of gated communities that are very popular with families. And there are a lot of that are not gated. Just many different choices and communities makes it very popular. Now, another pro for the city of Weston is that it's considered a very safe area. So again, there are a lot of public data sites. This is all free public information that you can go and do your research on. Anything I talk about in here comes from these sites. I have links to all of them in the description of all the videos that you can go and look at. But one of them that I get some of this information from is bestplaces.net. So far as crime in Weston, it says here, Weston, Florida is a relatively safe area compared to the national average. The violent crime rate in Weston is 9, which is significantly lower than the U.S. average of 22.7. Similarly, the property crime rate in Weston is 15.4, much lower than the U.S. average of 35.4. This means that Weston is a great place for people looking for a low crime environment to live and work in. So very safe area, and for all the reasons that we talked about as far as pros, this makes Weston a great or a very popular area for families, especially families that have children that are still in the age where they're going to schools, because a lot of them gravitate towards cities that have great schools and that are very safe. So Weston is definitely one of those neighborhoods or those cities that these families are looking at. So those are the pros. Let's get into some of the cons for the city of Weston. So we talked about Weston being a great, beautiful city, great schools, family friendly, great real estate and housing, but there's one problem. It's very expensive. So people find that out pretty quickly that reach out, that are relocating. Things are very expensive everywhere across the country, so that's just something that everybody's dealing with. South Florida in general is kind of going up more than a lot of other places, just for, geographically, a lot of people moving here. But Weston in general is just one of those areas in South Florida that still has more people wanting to move there, and the competition is so fierce just to get a house in Weston. I have people that maybe are even watching that I'm trying to help that are still having an issue winning a bid on a house in Weston. The competition is so fierce. So even with the expensive real estate here in Weston, it's still very hard to get a house. Limited inventory. So Weston is one of those special cases or cities because of all these pros that is very tough to get a house. Now, I have to say that right now might be the best time, being that we're getting into towards the end of November, December, the holidays, even though South Florida doesn't really have as much of a slowdown during the holiday season as some other areas. I know a lot of people are holding off because of, the market itself and the interest rates and everything like that. But, back when we had those low interest rates, it was so tough to get a house, and people don't realize, even though you had those low interest rates, they don't understand that buyers were coming out of pocket for $25,000, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 over appraised value, cash money out of their pocket just to get a house. And I'm talking about anywhere in South Florida. That might still be going on in some places, and in Weston, it has been going on. And this might be the best time during the holidays where things have kind of slowing down, because my fear is that if interest rates come down a little bit, and all these people that are on the sidelines, when they come back to the market and more houses come on the market, the same thing is going to happen. You're going to get back into those bidding wars. So this little pause that we have for the holidays might be the best time for someone to get a house that's been on the sidelines. Even though interest rates might be higher, you can save on that cash out of pocket. Interest rates come back down, you could refinance. Just a thought. But real estate and prices right now are kind of tough. Weston is a special case as far as, getting a property. Very tough, very competitive in the city of Weston. Now, one of the reasons why things are so expensive here in Florida, not only the inbound migration from people moving here, but property taxes is another reason. Now, I keep getting this question, why are taxes going up so much? Well, they're attached to prices. So as prices go up, property taxes are going up. And a lot of people also reaching out through the channel and they see property taxes advertised on a property. Sometimes they're looking at the listed taxes on a property that someone has owned for, say, 10 years, 15 years, and they're quite low because these people have what we call homestead. Their taxes are homesteaded, so they can't go up more than a certain amount every year. And once the taxes adjust after you purchase it, it's a big, huge shock. So just figure 2% of the purchase price for your property taxes. So being that the average median price for property, I mean, I don't even know what it is, $600,000, at least in Weston, which is kind of low considering you're not going to get a decent house in Weston for, I don't know, say $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 if it's going to be in a gated community. You're going to be, over 10 grand for taxes. So property tax is one of the reasons. Another thing is homeowners insurance, which is an absolute nightmare. So they go up with prices as well. The more your home is worth, the more it has to be insured for. But another con is the weather. Now, this has been a huge topic in the news lately because of some of the natural disasters that we've had. South Florida and Florida in general, we always have hurricanes. So if you live here for any amount of time, it just comes with the territory. For people that just move here or don't have any experience with it, it's kind of like a new thing to deal with. I guess it's no different than living in the Midwest and having to deal with hurricanes. Hawaii, they have volcanoes, so they just had that horrible fire as well. So there are areas across the world that have to deal with yearly weather patterns, but this is a big reason why our insurance is just very, very high. So that's another con. You're going to have to deal with very, very high insurance. And these are the reasons why our housing expenses are very, very high. So this is a con no matter where you are living here in South Florida. So although our weather can be a con and the storms that we have to deal with, and the summer months when it's very hot and humid, it could also be a pro in South Florida. So as we come out of November now and go into the winter months, it's when we have our best weather. So you're talking mid 70s, incredibly gorgeous weather. I am so excited for it. But it does bring another con with it, and that is tourist season, which is really not that big of a deal. But a lot of people don't like it because we have a lot of people here. It becomes somewhat crowded. So we can call that another con for South Florida. And that's going to be starting, now as we get into the winter months. Again, not too big of a deal, but I have to mention it because it's coming up now. Now, another con that people don't like about Weston, they consider it a little further out of the way. Some people would consider that a pro. I know a lot of families that don't want to live in the middle of the county, say Fort Lauderdale or by the beach, because it's a little too busy for them. They like being, a little bit further out. Say, I guess they consider Weston a suburb, but some people want to be a little bit more in the action. So Weston is 28 miles from the beach. So some people think that's a little further out of the way. You have to travel a little bit if you want to go downtown Fort Lauderdale or to some of the other attractions. They say there might not be as much nightlife there. So that might be a con. Also, public transportation. Now, we're not known in South Florida in general for our public transportation, more so in Weston because of its geographic location. They are lacking more in public transportation. In my opinion, you're going to need a car anywhere here in South Florida. You can get around with public transportation. They are doing some more stuff with the Bright Line and some other trains coming around, and transportation. Public transportation is getting better. But as far as Weston, it is lacking in that aspect, so that would be another con. Just make sure you keep this stuff in mind when considering a place to live. So we're going to wrap it up right there, guys. You cannot have something good without having something bad to compare it to. So those are the good points, the bad, the pros and the cons of the city of Weston, updated for 2023 going into 2024. I hope you learned something from this video. If you have any questions about moving to and living in Weston or any of the other areas throughout South Florida that we talk about, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. All you got to do is reach out. I look forward to talking with you and helping you with your real estate endeavors, whether it's next week, next month or next year. All you got to do is reach out, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks for watching. Take care.